Last week, we had to say goodbye to my dog, Mimi, after he suffered from an unexpected and violent seizure. It was very difficult to accept, but it was the best decision for him. I cried a lot in the early days and still cry. I cried writing this video. The apartment feels eerily empty and I cannot muster the courage to remove his bed. Today, I want to make a positive video to celebrate Mimi's life. With the exception of a few hours at the end, Mimi had a good life filled with joy, love, and adventure. I know some of you are already familiar with Mimi because he was featured in some of my videos. For example, he was prominently featured in this video.
I will also enlist the help of my dog, Mimi. So let's start with the letter A.
And you might catch him sleeping on the couch in the end screen of some videos like this one. I also made a short about Cavalier King Charles Spaniels. They're truly the sweetest breed, which is why I originally opted to adopt a King Charles. Above all else, I wanted a friendly breed and a friend I could bring everywhere. Cavalier King Charles Spaniels are also known to have some health issues, including heart problems. So if this breed is right for you, it's important to choose a reputable breeder to screen the parents, which is what I did. And eventually I started the adoption process. I will never forget the day I met him. The breeder brought me and my friend to the litter of puppies. There were about 6 or 7 Cavalier King Charles puppies, all ruby color. They all came to say hello, all excited, except for one little guy in the corner who was shaking but wagging his tail. The breeder told us he was a strange one. They said he did not eat with the other dogs because he was too nervous. I felt sorry for him, so I asked if I could say hello. I ended up picking him up and he was so happy and excited that someone had finally held him. To be honest, at that moment, I took pity. He was so happy in my arms, I decided to adopt him. I was in my early 20s when I adopted Mimi, which means that he went through a lot of changes during his life, and he handled them like a pro. He came home in November. He was so small and afraid of everything. At first, he would not even leave his bed. I could tell I had adopted an anxious baby. But slowly he gained confidence and started to enjoy himself and also destroy his bed. At the time I was living in Quebec and we happened to have one of the coldest winters on record, like minus 30 degrees every day. In that temperature, Mimi did not want to go out for walks and it made house training really difficult. I remember going for walks and when he would get too cold, I would put him in my coat with his head popping out. Despite that, Mimi grew to love winter. He was always so happy to see the first snow of the season, and over the years I took him on countless winter hikes, and we created so many good memories. Like, for example, 3 winters ago, we went on this long hike in Quebec when the snow was super sticky, and it ended up sticking to his legs. He turned into a literal snow statue. He could not move, so I had to carry him back home, melt the snow in the bath, and we went into a low-heat sauna to recover. In his teenage years, I planned to move to Toronto, so I organized a round trip to visit apartments. It was like an 8-hour drive each way. I did not have a lot of money at the time, so we slept in a motel the first night, and in my car the second night. Mimi was just happy to join the adventure. We cuddled all night before making the drive back home. And eventually we moved to Toronto together in that small apartment I had visited. Toronto is so expensive and I was legit broke at that time. So I had a bunk bed with a couch underneath. If you know Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, you know they're very clingy. And up to that point, Mimi had always slept in the bed with me. So the bunk bed situation was not to his liking. Mimi would beg to sleep in the bed with me, but I thought it was too risky, he could fall off the bed. So I ended up building him dog-proof guardrails so he wouldn't fall off the bed. And every night for 2 years, I would carry him up the ladder so he could sleep with me and carry him down in the morning. Mimi was there when my ex broke up with me. He would always look so worried when I cried. and he would cuddle with me. It always made me feel better. After he passed last week, it felt very weird to cry and not see him pop his head in the bedroom to console me. Mimi was also there during the pandemic, and it was a true blessing. I lived alone at the time, and I was away from my family in Quebec, so it would have been very lonely without him. I'm not gonna lie though, Mimi actually loved the pandemic. I was always home, we were in our little bubble, cuddling all day, every day. For a King Charles, trust me, it was paradise, which made the isolation feel less sad. Mimi was in such a good mood. We played a lot and we experienced new things during the pandemic, some more fun than others. I remember when I had to groom him for the first time since the groomers were closed. It turned out to be an outright disaster. You know, Mimi always hated to go to the groomer in the first place. He was always so dramatic and very stubborn. So it took me forever to finish the job, and he never looked crazier. Poor baby. We were so happy when the groomers finally opened again. When the pandemic was over, we were able to resume our regular lives once again. We could go everywhere together. He would come to family dinners, barbecues with friends, football games on Sundays, Christmas parties, Starbucks, watch the sunset in the park, have an ongoing beef with our family cat, go on boats, go camping, walk a 10-kilometer for cancer with his pet sitter, steal my underwear, eat my flowers, sit on my newspaper, eat my cucumber plants, play floorball, inaugurate patio season, have picnics, visit our sponsor and eat their stock of pine cones. Oh boy. Mimi also had a blast being a star, going for swims, delivering flowers to friends, pretending to be human, stretching, annoying me at work, stealing my friend's sleeping spot, posing for countless photos, and I mean countless photos, begging to play, hanging out in hotel rooms, dancing, finding and eating weed in the park and ending up at the ER for being high AF. Yeah, that actually happened. Listening to music and being very dramatic about it, more hiking, watching TV, more pop cups, and cuddles, endless cuddles. Mimi was a sweet, sensitive, and emotionally intelligent dog. He was very curious but easily scared. He was loving and friendly with everyone. I loved him very much, and my partner too. We were together when we said goodbye to Mimi, and I had always promised myself I would be the last person he would see when it was time to say goodbye, and I kept my promise. I miss him very, very much. I dread the moment I open the door to my apartment because I know he won't be there greeting me. I'm so thankful he was part of my life for 8 beautiful years. I wish we were together longer, but it comforts me to know he did not suffer for long. He had a good life, a great last summer, and a fun last day. On his last day, we sat at the park. He was in a good mood. It was sunny. I was eating chicken wings and I saved the skin for him. He was just so happy. Mimi taught me to be more patient, understanding, and compassionate. He showed me unconditional love, and I loved him unconditionally too. I will never forget him. Now that you heard Mimi's story, I want to hear your story in the comments below. Did you have to say goodbye to a dog before? Do you currently have a dog? What do they mean to you? I really want to know in the comments below. I want to read your stories. I want to take this moment to also thank you for your comments and your kind words of support when I announced the news on my community tab. I read them all. I'm not sure if I responded to them all yet, but it meant a lot to me. Thank you so much. And also a massive shout out to my partner who has been nothing but loving and supporting during this period. My friends and family have also shown me compassion and love. I'm very grateful for their support. And once again, thank you, the viewer, for your kind words. For more content, you can click the top link to watch my short about Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, the best breed ever, and click the bottom link to watch Mimi upstaging me on camera.